On this episode of Let's Explore This, we are not going to be exploring a town or a historic site. No, we are going to be exploring a river. This here is the very start of one of the forks of the French Broad, the North Fork. I am here as part of an important campaign, that is, to help get the North Fork of the French Broad listed as a nationally recognized wild and scenic river. As we travel down the river, you will see why this is such an important campaign. Well, this might not be the exact start of the North Fork of the French Broad River, but it is probably the best that I can access. It turns out that the North Fork, it appears to start from a number of feeder creeks entering it at its source. The river itself, it appears to take on the name of North Fork at about this location here. I am going by what is shown on this map, though it is possible it may extend past the end of that blue line. Okay, so getting a stretch of river listed as wild and scenic is not an easy task, nor can it be done by a single person. A large campaign is involved in such a process, requiring input from various regional stakeholders. On November 8th, I hope to be attending a meeting by the Transylvania Natural Resources Council. Hopefully, at some point in the meeting, as has been done with previous meetings, this river will be discussed. At the time this episode was filmed, I was not sure of what to expect. There is a subcommittee involved in the process. Given there will be other people there, I probably won't be filming it, but I might provide brief updates in the future, not sure yet. Regardless of whether or not I post updates, I will, nonetheless, be paying close attention to this. In doing so, I decided to create this episode in order to bring attention to this endeavor. We are talking about the North Fork, and the North Fork only, not the entire length of the French Broad River. The North Fork is an especially scenic stretch tucked away in the mountains of Transylvania County. There appears to be only one discernible town located along the North Fork. That town is Balm Grove. It can be found not far from the source of the river, which is why you are seeing the town so early on. Here is the community center. As we travel down past the town, you will begin to notice just how wild and scenic much of this river truly is. Keep in mind, the entire North Fork, it's roughly 10 miles in length. However, not all of it has been deemed eligible. In fact, it is about 3 to 4 miles that have been deemed eligible for recognition. Still, don't let that seemingly short distance fool you. That's all it will take to protect most, if not even the entire, river and a large portion of its watershed. You will find out why as this episode progresses. Besides, those 3 to 4 miles, those are the most scenic stretches of all. Wow, it's kind of hidden away with all the trees and stuff, but there is a pond or a little lake over there. It's like right across the road here from the North Fork over there. I wonder if this lake is part of that fish hatchery someone was telling me about. I actually spoke to a couple of locals in the area. They told me there was this fish hatchery, but I can't remember exactly where it was. Not sure. As far as the North Fork is concerned, I will be traveling down its entire length for this episode. I will let you know the start and end points of the wild and scenic stretch when I come upon them. As we travel a bit of a ways further down, let me now turn your attention to this website, which is where the bulk of the information for this episode will be coming from. Yes, this campaign was in place before I got involved, and yes, I did endorse the proposal. What makes the North Fork so special? Well, it is the headwaters of the French Broad River, or I should say one of the headwaters, as there are other forks, one of which you will see toward the end of this episode. Of course, the French Broad itself, it is the centerpiece of active life, in both Brevard and in Asheville. The French Broad River, yes, it does hold reliant businesses that create or maintain just about 40,000 jobs each year, contributing to a total annual economic impact of about $4 billion. Unfortunately, just a few weeks prior to this episode being filmed, that economic impact was shattered. The river was force-fed just about 30 inches of rain, causing it to swell to record-level heights. I do strongly encourage you to read this. If Asheville happens to lose the River Arts District, that would be a major blow to the city. They have got to rebuild, hopefully alongside better flood prevention measures, at the watershed level. For example, the city of Brevard, in 2019, adopted what appears to be some of the most stringent standards for building in a floodplain. Furthermore, if you want to be close to a river and expect to live in harmony with it, I do suggest this book to read. It may turn out to be vital. Now, getting back to the North Fork, the water quality and flows here in the upper French Broad watershed are vital for both agriculture and recreation. Furthermore, it is an important habitat for aquatic wildlife such as salamanders, aquatic insects, and trout. Well, folks, this here is not good. I cannot get out this way. I think the flood may have washed away this bridge. Now, I am going to have to go all the way back around this dirt road to get out of here. I guess it is what it is. By the way, this here is a pic of a hellbender, a type of salamander. I wonder if you could find one of these here, where Shoal Creek meets the North Fork. Yes, the North Fork has a number of little creeks feeding it on its way to form the main river. Still, though, I have never seen a salamander, and I spend a lot of time around the rivers. Can't say I was actually looking for them, though. They are not easy to spot. As with many rivers in this area of North Carolina, the North Fork is great for fishing. Reportedly, though, it is home to a classic whitewater run that has been a favorite of generations of regional paddlers. Here, we are talking mostly kayakers. No commercial rafting on the North Fork. Sorry. Still, it's just a great river to be around, and I can't help but want to make sure it stays that way. That is why declaring it as nationally recognized wild and scenic is such an important campaign. Did you know that of the 38,000 miles of rivers in North Carolina, less than 0.4% of them are national wild and scenic rivers? Overall, only 5 rivers in this entire state have been given that designation. There is now this exciting opportunity to add a 6th. I can't help but want to make that happen. This river here, the North Fork of the French Broad, is North Carolina's newest eligible wild and scenic river. And to think it was almost lost under a lake. Twice. Yes, this scenic river, it has come under threat of being dammed twice since the 1960s, and in both cases, local residents organized and opposed the projects. Successfully, dam construction was prevented and the river was saved. In 1966, an array of citizens formed the Upper French Broad Defense Association to oppose the 1966 dam. Then, in the late 1980s, the French Broad Headwaters Coalition was formed, and in 1991, they distributed pamphlets to boost awareness to yet another proposed dam, this one being a part of what was apparently a move to propose a series of 6 dams for flood control. Now, for those that think dams are great for flood control, it is true that at times they can be, but it does come at a cost. With the recent floods of Helene, it probably did not matter much. Dams were never built to handle that amount of water and were overtopped, with some causing a bit of a panic due to structural deficits. Let me show you this chart. Pay close attention to the box there at the bottom right. From 2001 to 2009, the number of dams in need of remediation went from less than 400 to just over 2,000. Yes, I do suspect that prior to 2001, and even in those first few years after, many more than what was listed for those years may have been in need of repair. A survey may just have only gotten started around 2000, not sure. Still, that's alarming. Here is where yet another creek, Tucker Creek, feeds more water into the North Fork. Now, there is likely a reason why dams are in such a need of repair. Why should they be any different than other forms of infrastructure? For example, the 2021 report card for America's infrastructure has been given a C- rating. It turns out that people don't want to pay taxes and corporations want to cut costs. Couple that with this mindset of, oh, don't worry, that's never going to happen attitude. So, people don't readily support infrastructure repair, nor do they really want to hear about having to pay for it. So, what's there to do then? Well, a change in mindset might be nice, but you know what? Rivers, they do come with their own brand of flood control. All we have to do is provide them the opportunity to make use of it. Furthermore, we are now in the age of dam removal because we know how important a naturally functional river is in the long run. The Colorado River barely reaches the ocean, and major fish runs important to regional economies have been devastated. In this book, there is a whole chapter on the issue. Providing the North Fork with wild and scenic designation would forever protect it from development projects like dams. Furthermore, designation is a celebration of the French Broad River in general, an honor bestowed on the river by all those that live downstream and support its health and water quality. Once again, we have yet another feeder creek here pouring into the North Fork, this one being LaMont Creek. Well, the confluence of the North Fork and LaMont Creek is someplace in this area. I think it might be a little ways down. I didn't notice it walking up to this area. I think this is as far as we will be able to go. Yeah, I think it might be better to show you on a map where the confluence is. I just don't think it can easily be accessed. So, there it is, LaMont Creek entering the North Fork. Right there, circled. Yes, there was a road I was originally going to take near the creek, but it appeared to be a private road with some people down there. I didn't really want to go down there filming stuff. I tried to find the confluence walking the bank here, but it seems elusive. I am not certain if I can even see it from this area. It might be a little ways down that way, or maybe it's covered with debris or something down that way. I thought I saw a point where water may have been flowing in, but I wasn't sure. But no, we have not yet ventured upon the start of the wild and scenic stretch. It's coming soon, though, but, the French Broad River and its headwaters, it is central to western North Carolina's vast outdoor recreation and nature-based economy. Designation and protection of the North Fork, it would be an investment into local communities, from outfitters to breweries and all else in between. And it would celebrate this region's way of life. Residents and recreationists would never again have to worry about this local treasure being lost under a lake. Not only would this honor the legacy of the river's human residents, but it would also protect the habitat of the more than human beings that call the river their home. The Wild and Scenic Act was passed in 1968, and it goes something like this. Now, the Chattooga River, it may be the most known in the immediate region. Another nearby river, the Colasaja River, near Franklin, is also eligible. Maybe I should do an episode devoted to that one. I don't know, we'll see. This one here, the North Fork, it has an intense campaign going for it. Not only do I want to keep it going, but I want to strengthen it. On January of 2022, the Pisgah and Nantahala Forest personnel released their preliminary forest plan revision. That revision, however, did not include the North Fork as eligible for wild and scenic protection. However, on March of 2022, American Whitewater filed an official objection, advocating that the North Fork should be eligible. Well, then, on January of 2023, the Forest Service responded to objections and released their final forest plan. That one, it came to include the North Fork as eligible for protection. Okay, so a large part of the North Fork is inaccessible. There is a reason why the river down there is so wild and scenic. However, let me just provide you with a clip of a kayaker or two having fun on one of its rapids. The rapid shown here is Boxar Falls, somewhere on the North Fork. Here we have arrived at the start of the stretch that would be identified for critical protection. It appears to be where a brook, Big Mountain Branch, enters the North Fork. Sorry, though, it's not too visible. So, on April of 2023, the Transylvania County Resource Council, whose future meetings I hope to attend, hosted a community information meeting about the North Fork of the French Broad. A two-part series, which can be found via Carolina Public Press, entitled A River's Destiny, was reportedly published on August 21st and August 23rd of 2023. Then, on September of 2023, the Transylvania Natural Resource Council votes to support the North Fork's designation as a wild and scenic river, recommending that county, state, and federal elected officials follow suit. Now, here's the part that bothers me a bit. The timeline seems to end on that date of September 2023. It is now 1 year past, and no other updates are given. What gives me hope, however, is that the meeting agenda for September 2024 does list the subcommittee involved in this. The next meeting is slated for November 8th, which I hope to attend. I just hope the subcommittee for the Wild and Scenic designation remains active. We cannot afford to let this go. The French Broad as a whole needs our support more than ever right now. it has suffered just as much as we all did in this region from the flooding it had to endure. As a result, it is even more critical that this issue is given critical attention. There could be some circles that may want to revisit this idea of building a reservoir up here. We need to be there to stop it before it begins. Here, we are at yet another creek feeding the North Fork, this one being Wallows Creek. Notice the river and how it widens a bit as each feeder stream enters it. Well, I don't know if you will notice that all too clearly at this spot. The river here is a bit obscured, a bit visible, but certainly not clearly visible. A lot of trees and stuff in the way. However, I cannot be certain as to where the pinpointed location of that creek might be either. You know, one of these circled here, one of these Wallows creeks. However, there is this. I mean, if you want to get wet, there is a lot of water coming down all the way from up there. A lot of water coming down here. And all of this water, yes, it is feeding the North Fork. All of this water coming down this here mountainside. It is somehow finding its way under the road somewhere, I guess going all the way down there. I wonder if it's afraid of heights. It's just such a wild and scenic river, isn't it? That is why it's important for you to sign up to endorse the protection this river deserves. Near this area, we have the point where LaMont Creek enters the river. Well, it's very close to here. You see, up the river a bit, there is a campground, and there is a road called LaMont Creek Road, but that road has a big problem. The bridge is washed out. Yes, another bridge is gone. There, though, they were working in the area, so I didn't really want to show it on video. You know what? Let me show you on a map. LaMont Creek and the road named after it. But just a bit of a ways down from this point, you will come to the point where the North Fork in that direction meets up with the West Fork in that direction to form the main French Broad River. There are, in fact, 3 other forks that comprise the headwaters of the French Broad River. The North Fork, though, it is said to be the biggest. I wonder if any of those forks could be eligible for wild and scenic designation. The others have not been deemed eligible, despite some saying they are just as beautiful a stretch. Not sure. But if you want to endorse the North Fork, you can do so via this form, which can be reached via this website, the link for which you can find in the description.